Community Radio 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. This is your very own Dr Shabina Asad Qayyum for Salam Radio 106.2 FM. It's an absolute delight to be with you for another episode of the Body, Health and Mind show on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. And what I'd like to say is that we've had a few warm days, but it hasn't actually been the summer that we wanted. So it's a delight to be here again to bring you the latest in the world of medicine and health and well-being, because we like to talk a little bit about those issues that are, number one, not very often spoken about, and number two, those conditions that people like me to talk about. And that's why we've got a very special guest here today, who I will introduce you to in a short while. So until then, it would be good to just run you through the drill, and that is, I would love you to join us and to call us on 01733 602 133 to join in the conversation. You can text us on our WhatsApp number, which is 07411 191062. Or you can comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So, my dear listeners, how are you today? I hope that you're all very well. The children are enjoying their summer holidays. I have a lovely young man with me in the studio today who's accompanied his dad. His name is Suleiman. So we're going to give the shout outs to Suleiman today for attending the studio and being a very good boy. So if you go to school with Suleiman, I'd like you to know that he sat here with me in the studio today, and he's actually earned something very special known as the Peterborough Badge. So it's absolutely wonderful to have him on board today. So sit back, relax, listen to the information that's given to you, and most importantly, do join in. Well, I am absolutely delighted to be welcomed by our wonderful guest here today, who is a consultant physician, both at the Hinchinbrook Hospital and at our local Peterborough City Hospital, who specialises in Parkinsonism and geriatric medicine. He's multi-talented, he has his fingers in many pies, but I thought that I would try to pin him down for a bit of his very valuable time, which he has kindly given to us. And I would like to introduce you all to Dr. Ghulam Saqib, who is consultant geriatrician at Peterborough City Hospital. Brother Saqib, Dr. Saqib, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Shabina, for inviting me to your such a lovely studio and the program. Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you here, Dr. Saqib. Now, talking a little bit, would you like to give us a bit of an introduction about what you do, where you're based in our city, and in your area of work and speciality?
So basically, I'm graduated from Pakistan, from Allama Iqbal Medical College, a very precious institute attached to Punjab University. And then after my graduation, I moved to Ireland. Okay. And I completed all my qualifications, basic trainings from Dublin. And then 2015, I moved to London. Okay. First in Surrey, then right in the city centre, in Royal London Hospital, and then we moved to this part of England. And since 2017, I'm here. So I was working at Hinchinbrook Hospital to start with for a few years, and then from there I moved on to the Peterborough City Hospital because my passion, my specialty is geriatrics medicine, which is a medicine for over 65 years. Of age, but my passion and also my special interest is in the Parkinson's disease, which is also called shaking palsy. So that's why I'm here at Peterborough City Hospital. I live here and kind of settled here now.
Yes, and we know we're very lucky to have you and your wife, Dr. Hina, may I say, who I'm very privileged to have worked with as a GP colleague. Again, very loved by her patients. So we're very lucky in this city to have multi-talented and wonderful professionals like yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, why did you decide to First of all, it would be nice to have an overview, I guess, of why you decided to become a doctor and why did you choose the pathway of specializing in Parkinsonism, Dr. Saqib?
Why I want to become a doctor? My granddad, I can still remember when I was of a child, I would say I've seen my granddad suffering from an injury to his leg, which was witnessed by myself. And he said to my dad that I wish that your son would be a doctor. So that was the time when my family, my father, my mother decided that yes, Saqib will be a doctor, and I decided I started working towards it, and I got it what I wanted. So then when I came down to Ireland, I was very open to the different specialities. But the first job which I got was in geriatric medicine, which I all of a sudden liked because it was not a specialty back home in Pakistan. It was an emerging field. It was something new. Population was growing old, and I thought this is the best specialty. Being from the culture from which I belong, it was also the elderly, older people, their respect, their dignity, your love towards them, your respect towards them. So that also make me come to this specialty. As soon as I entered in this specialty, I decided that this is the field I want to choose and to start specialization in that. And what about Parkinson's? Once again, the Parkinson's is one of the subspecialty of geriatrics medicine. Mostly the Parkinson's comes under neurology, but as the population is growing old, geriatricians cannot stay out of this. So I started developing interest in that, started attending the clinics, got my training in that, which is also part of the training, but I did more than what was the training. And then I thought, yes, this is what I can do because population is growing old, and as this is an aging disease, so let's move on this direction. Yes, general geriatrics is also my bread and butter, but having said that, Parkinson's is my subspecialty, which I love, and I'm working in that.
That's wonderful. And I think a bit about Parkinson's disease in itself, I've seen within general practice, as you know, that there are patients that develop symptoms of it, ultimately diagnosed with it. It's quite a sad disease for family members to have to negotiate. Could you tell us a little bit about what Parkinson's disease is? And
Yeah, just very briefly, because I want to leave this forum open for the questions and answers, because I want the community to bombard me with the questions and yourself so that we can both answer. Parkinson's disease is basically called shaking palsy. In Urdu language, it's called rasha.
Okay, rasha.
Rasha are tremors, you can say, it started with the tremors of the hands. This is commonly, it's an elderly disease. For example, I will try to make it easier, that the incidence of Parkinson disease is 1 in 100,000 when, you are with any type of population, 1 in 1,000 when over 65, 1 in 50 when you are over 80. So it's aging. So once again, I say, as we grow old, our brain degenerate, our systems degenerate. So that's how it starts developing. It is to do with one of the hormones. I usually explain it's a little chemical in your brain called dopamine, and this is related to that. And there are certain other hormones as well in the brain which controls lots of functions in the body, including. So anyway, the main 3 features of Parkinson's is tremor, rigidity, and slow in walking, slow shuffling walking. So rigidity means stiffness in the body. And slow movement is the people will start feeling a change in their gait, walking pattern. They started shuffling around. They take very short steps. Another way to explain it to my patients and the students sometimes, and to the general population, is I usually say that everything go low and slow.
Yeah.
That is another way to explain it. So you're blinking, you're thinking, you're talking, you're eating, your gut, your bowel, your bladder, your thoughts, everything goes down and below. If you slow. So if you take your walking, your writing, so think that way and don't miss it. If somebody has a tremor, and once again, the tremor, everybody can have a tremor. There are so many patients we are seeing in the clinic which are not Parkinson's. There are so many tremors, but this is a typical of a tremor which is resting. Resting means the person is not paying attention, watching telly, totally sitting relaxedly, and the family is noting that he's having some pin rolling tremors. This is a striking feature. The other features I have told you, the gait, they become more stiff. Then it comes with brothers and sisters as well. It's not only the motor means only, I'm not talking about only muscular, psychological. It's called non-motor issues. Speech gets low volume, slurry, your movements get slow, your thought process, psychological, you started developing sleep disturbances, your bladder autonomic functions, your blood pressure start dropping, all those things. So it comes with a plenty of things. So if anyone gets any of the symptoms where they feel that this could be a Parkinsonism. Once again, Parkinson's disease is totally. Parkinsonism is the features which ideally should be in the patient with the Parkinson's disease, but they can develop in any other things because there are so many various Parkinson's, Parkinson's plus syndrome, atypical Parkinsonism, drug-induced, vascular Parkinson. Well, there are so many. But when you develop these features, this is an alarming sign. You must consult your GP and talk to them. And to be honest, I have seen so many good, not so many, almost nearly 100% GPs who can pick up these points. And if there is any doubt or anything which comes to their mind, they always refer to the specialist. Right. So that's why we are here, and we pick up those referrals and send them an appointment, see them, and then, we'll take it from there.
That's really a good way of putting it, actually. It's quite clear, concise about what it is, when it starts. What are the investigations, findings that give you a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease per se, Dr. Saqib?
Yeah. Examination, as you say, starts straight away when the patient walks into your clinic room, and sometimes they're sitting and they're walking towards your clinic room and you know what is happening. There are typical features. Their facial features got very flat. They have a typical tremor, as I said, resting, that their hand is shaking when they're resting. There are other features. They are walking with a shuffle, very short steps. One timed up and go test means they are very hard. They are very stiff in themselves. So when we take the history, and particularly when there is a history of Parkinson's disease in the family, those are all the alarming features. But once again, what I also say commonly, that we are not here to distribute the certificates of Parkinsonism. So we want to make sure that everything else has been ruled out before making some diagnosis. So UK Parkinson Disease Society, they have a set criteria, clinical criteria to diagnose someone with the Parkinsonism. So this is available on online. Yeah. So if somebody fulfilling that criteria, yes, it's a clinical diagnosis. But in certain cases where it is very difficult, few people show some mixed kind of tremors. For example, there is other type of the tremor where at rest you're fine, but as soon as you are trying to do something, holding a glass of water, trying to write, eating, drink, you go all over the place. The hands start shaking. And well, my father does suffer from one of those. So these are the action tremor is totally different than the resting tremor. I see. So those are the referrals we are seeing every day. The treatment is totally different of both. So you need to be very careful in making. In certain, when you are absolutely not sure clinically and the features are so mixed, again, brain is not that this is my room and this is your room and this is the third party's room. Brain is a complex organ. One thing goes wrong, there are other systems are also playing up. Yeah. So you need to be very careful, but you need to go on a dominant clinical features. And having said that, if that is the case, we do one of the radiological tests. There are scans available, specialist scans. So we sometimes order those scans and see, is there enough dopamine in the brain? And there is none, that clarify the diagnosis, and we put them on the treatment.
That's a really good way of putting it. And I think it's important that people know this pathway, because often what happens is that you will get patients who will ask for an MRI scan to see what's going on. I mean, are there any findings on brain imagery, such as MRI or CT scans?
CT, in simple terms, once again, it's a clinical diagnosis. We are talking to the community, saying that there is, can open up the another can of worms. But there are certain signs which we can pick up, but that is very highly specialist, hands and eyes. But those findings are more bookish, and I don't think so. We need to go to that route when we are clinically very strong in terms of making a diagnosis. So yes, for example, if there are lots of vascular changes in the brain, it's less tremor than the falls and lower body gait, shuffles. You talk about vascular Parkinsonism. The person who has a lifelong high blood pressure, blood sugars, previous strokes, TIA, so think that it's a vascular Parkinsonism. It's affecting the lower body than the upper body. On the other hand, Parkinson's plus syndrome, there are some features on the MRI brain, like morning glory signs and all those. I don't want to say we need to look at that midbrain area, which is area of interest, and sometimes those findings can come up quite interestingly. But having said that, most of the times the diagnosis has already been made.
Yeah, which is actually the reason why I think the advantage of having a clinical diagnosis is important, because you save time and patients don't have to go through the agony of waiting for an investigation that will then depend upon you giving them a diagnosis and back and forward. So it is great that our physicians have the skill to be able to have a look at people and take a history and ultimately say, well, actually, yes, you do have Parkinson's
You're
disease.
listening to Salam
then
Radio,
it's an
and it's
ongoing
now
process.
time
It's
for
not a
Maghrib
once-off.
Azan.
That
Sorry, we're just hitting the Maghrib Azan. So
This Azan is sponsored by
this is
Park
not a
Foods.
once-off. That
Come
it's a
and see the
continuous
difference.
assessment.
yeah, we'll just go into an Azan and we'll come back after
Okay,
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. It is Dr. Shabina Asad Qayyum for the Body Health and Mind Show. So we had an alert about the azan, so we thought we would take some time out of respect. We haven't had the azan playing on the radio. However, that does not negate the need to be attending Maghrib Salah, because that comes first and foremost. However, after that small period of time, we've returned. We're going to carry on with the show until the break that will be taking place at 2026. And we have Dr. Ghulam Saqib with us, who is a geriatric consultant physician at both Peterborough City Hospital and Hinchingbrook Hospital, who specialises in Parkinson's disease. And Dr. Saqib, sorry, we just left off whereby you were concluding about the weight that is taken out of individuals where we are making a clinical diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, and how that's very helpful in their journey and pathway.
That is very, very important to make a clinical diagnosis, and that is the way it is actually. But yes, as I said, in very complex cases, in very difficult cases, some mixed features where you're not sure, you consolidate and clarify your diagnosis, you carry out some radiological tests. So this is how I look at. But once again, the Parkinson's is a diagnosis of exclusion. So you need to carry out, maybe if you feel there are some other features or anything, keeping other differential diagnoses and different other things in your mind, you need to carry out some other tests. But for Parkinson's, it's a clinical diagnosis. Yes, there is a test scan available. It's called DAP scan, which is again to look at your dopamine in your brain and to see whether in borderline cases whether somebody got it or not.
Sorry.
They are mentioned in the Holy Quran.
Do excuse me. I think we had a technical glitch there, but we will carry on.
So here we go. That the treatment is also, so once again, as you were trying to ask, the pathway is quite simple. Raise it to your local doctor, your general practitioners, who are also very good. I'm planning, I have already started to give small presentations to the different GP surgeries to spread the word, and also trying to start attending the groups in this area and to help the community to little coffee mornings or something, so that people can feel free and can ask the questions. There is a population over about 17 and a half, about 1800 or more patients in this area, Cambridgeshire area. And don't forget, these are those patients who got the diagnosis, and the patients who don't have a diagnosis are still in the pipeline.
Wow.
So that is also the other, and few people who have their loved ones, even who are not living here, abroad or anywhere, they want to listen about the disease and also to get some information about the same. So that has to be started. So in terms of treatment is dopamine replacement therapy. So the hormone, chemical, whatever is low in your brain, whatever you say, you need to replace that. It's very difficult to replace the natural mechanism created by Almighty God, but still the tablet forms are available, which are given to the patients and make some bring improvement in the condition. It's a neurodegenerative condition. Once again, it's the second most common after Alzheimer's disease, basically. So it's a progressive disease. But then, on the other hand, I always ask the questions. I don't want to disappoint anyone. That is the aging not progressive? Can we stop getting old? The answer is no. So this is the way the Parkinson is. So Parkinson's is medications are there, which again is in the hands of the specialist. I need not to tell about those medications. Difficult to control the symptoms, that we want to hit the certain areas in the brain when the capsules goes from stomach and trying to reach to the brain. We have to do a lot to make that sufficient amount of dopamine available for brain to take up. So that's why there is a day-to-day variation, time-to-time variation in Parkinson's as well. Having said that, then there are advanced therapies which are also in place. There are certain injectable apomorphines, deep brain stimulation. And there are other things, the tremors, other types. You can have a ultrasound stimulation of certain areas. There is so much going on. Even like, the people have heard now lots of other devices in the market. Q1 has been tried in Addenbrooke's, where it's been still going on, the little vibrating device to put on a sternum. And they are monitoring whether that will improve the mobility. iGuard, and as another one, it's like a little wire to be put. It's like a hearing device, a little tip you can see. So it sends the eye signals to the midbrain.
Yeah.
And there is no data with me how successful they are or not. There are so many things going on. Scientists are working on the non-dopaminergic pathways as well. We are talking all about dopamine, but there are more other things related to that. The other pathway has been looked at. So these are all the things which are been in pipeline.
Yeah.
So as we go more and more into this field, there is a more development happening.
Wonderful. Well, 9 seconds until the adverts. Please don't go away and join us after the break, where we have Dr. Ghulam Saqib talking about Parkinson's disease.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Could you spare a few hours each month to provide support to people who are going through tough times? If so, Peterborough Samaritans are looking for volunteers who are empathetic and open-minded, and we'd love to hear from you. We run regular information sessions where you can find out more about what it means to volunteer for Samaritans. If you are at least 18 years of age and would like to know more, please email volunteer@peterboroughsamaritans.org.
Attention foodies! Discover a world of flavours at Pack Foods, the largest ethnic supermarket in Peterborough. Shop our vast selection of authentic ingredients from around the globe, including spices, marinated fish and meats, and exotic fruits at incredibly low prices. And the best part? We offer free parking. No more hunting for a spot. Come visit us today and explore the incredible range of flavours at Pack Foods, 232 Lincoln Road.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakein.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our location at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Fancy the true taste of Middle Eastern Kurdish food? Asia Restaurant gives you the unique fusion of flavours from Turkey, Iraq, Syria and Iran. Eat in at 5 Fitzwilliam Street, Peterborough, PE1 2RU. Or order through Just Eat, Uber Eats or order through our website, asiarestaurant.co.uk. Call us on 01733 562 530. Asia Restaurant, the true taste of the Middle East.
Discover peace of mind with Islamic wills from W&P Legal and Mariam Khan. Expertly tailored to respect Islamic principles and UK law, ensuring your legacy is honoured. We offer tax-efficient wills, probate, lasting power of attorney and more. Trust us for a culturally sensitive estate plan. Your legacy, our priority. Call W&P Legal now on 01778 252 301.
website salamradio.co.uk.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Body, Health and Mind Show with Dr Shabina Asad Qayyum, your very own radio host for everything to do with health. Now we have the wonderful Dr Saqib with us, who is the geriatric physician and our Parkinson's disease specialist here in the studio, consultant who works at Peterborough City Hospital, is doing a wonderful job in bringing down our waiting lists for our precious patients. And he works both at Hinchinbrook and at Peterborough City Hospital. And before the break, Dr. Saqib gave us an overview of what Parkinson's disease is, how it's diagnosed, that it's diagnosed clinically, what the features are, and was talking a little bit about some of those very specialised treatments. And we're so lucky to be actually recipients of care from the NHS in which all of this treatment is free. And that too, research is going on. And we have a wonderful I would say, set up in Addenbrooke's, which is a highly specialised centre in this. So it's something that we should all be very grateful for. I'd like you to contribute. So if you're watching on the live feed, comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter or Twitch, or you could call us on 01733 602133 and have a chat with us. Have a chat with us, ask us questions. Or you could text us on 07411 191062. And we do have some questions lined up before the show started, which I'm going to be asking Dr. Saqib. But I'm going to ask him some of my own questions, I think, which are very important, I think might be relevant to our listeners as well. So, Dr. Saqib, what I'd like to ask, I guess, is that somebody presents to you and then they are aware that this is obviously an incurable illness. I guess for many people, questions that we are asked as clinicians is, how long do I have left? Does that vary from patient to patient, depending upon what? Or on average, obviously the prognosis is it's not good because it's going to, just like Alzheimer's disease, because it's a neurodegenerative disorder. But on average, what is the life expectancy of somebody who is diagnosed with early stages of Parkinson's disease?
Well, it is very hard to put and answer this question. Neurodegeneration is not a uniform process. A few people have a rapid progression to the disease and others they don't. So what I can answer this in that way, the person, when you diagnose somebody, their almost 60%, 60 to 70% neurons in the brain are already gone. And another 5 years, another 5 to 10%. So if somebody is already living on 30% of neurons, so they started developing the symptoms. So the aim is symptom control. And when I say Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other aging diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, they don't cause direct, but indirectly due to complications, falls, aspiration pneumonias, different other things. Immobility can bring out a lot of things. So this is as simple as I can say. But having said that, it's a disease, it's a old age disease. Yes, 1 in 7, sometimes, it's a young patients as well. They suffer the most because they have a long way to go. So the treatment is to keep their symptoms under control, symptomatic management, to keep them comfortable, dignity, respect, how we move, and we keep them monitored very closely as per GMC guidelines and review them again and again and see whether the disease is progressing or not. There is any adjustment of the medications need to be made. And yes, then the few patients, they went into the complex stage of it, and then we move on to the next palliation and all those things. So, but having said that, at each and every step, the patient and the families, they are on board. They work with us because we work as a team. Because in Parkinson's, the timing of the medications, it's all about dosing and timings.
Yeah.
So it cannot be achieved without the family being involved. And we have a dedicated Parkinson's disease specialist nurses, I must say, and admire. They work so hard in the community. in both in Huntington area and Cambridge area. And they are really doing a very good job. They support these. There are sport groups in the community as well, as we are talking to the.
That was my next question, actually.
So there is a UK Parkinson's UK website. They can find all the information from there. There are sport groups where my Parkinson's disease specialist teams in the community, they also attend. And so there is all sort of sport around. The GPs are around. We are around. Our dedicated teams in the hospital are around. Community Parkinson teams are around. So there is a plenty of forums where we can be consulted. But once again, the diagnosis should be made in expert hands. That is the key point. And then we'll take it from there. And then we initiate all those services, whatever are required.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. And that was my next question, actually, about community support. So obviously, somebody who has just been diagnosed with the early stages of Parkinson's disease, you then get, they give them information about how they can best manage their conditions and how organisations can help them as well. Within our city, even I've seen the letters that the Parkinson's disease nurses go out in the community and see the patients. So there is really a good wraparound aspect of care in the community, which is very important for somebody who still wants to live an independent life. Like you say, you've used the word dignity many times. That's very important, especially with people who come from the Muslim community. We take great pride in our dignity, our cleanliness, and how we are kept and how we are presented to others as well. So I'm really grateful that you've shared that with me as well, and that nurses go throughout our city to see such patients. I'm going to ask a little bit more specific questions, and these are coming from people who have texted me before the show. And one of them was, we all know that prevention is better than cure. Is it as a result of lifestyle that an individual develops dopamine depletion that causes this? Are there any foods that render this responsible? We get often calls this, or is it down to genetics?
Okay, let's put it that way. It is more to relate to genetics. It's an idiopathic Parkinson. There is no linear relationship. But yes, there are certain factors which has been identified. For example, use of dairy products. The people who use pesticides. So if we are talking about pesticides as farmers, so those kind of people. Interestingly, on the other hand, the people who consume caffeine, they are good. The people who keep their healthy lifestyle, walking, physical activity, that is also preventive. And
so sorry to interrupt, but if they use caffeine, that's also preventive.
It is.
Wow.
It is thought to be. So well, these are all the other kind of factors. Now there is another thing. Sometimes serum uric acid levels. I'm talking about more now medics. And if somebody has raised, it is also something preventive. But once again, it's idiopathic. It can happen. It runs in a family, genetics, and so that is the way it is. But the key point is to keep the healthy lifestyle, keep on doing activities, and keep yourself on the go, I would say.
I understand. That's really important. That's very useful, actually. So it's interesting how lifestyle factors and how sedentary lifestyles saw the emergence, I would say, of diseases like Parkinson's disease and even dementia and some forms of cancer. And actually, prevention is better than cure. And I genuinely believe that there is a scope in researching this area more from a holistic point of view as well. And now they, as you know, they teach functional or nutritional medicine in medical schools now. And I think that there is a scope to explore this issue because of some of the things that you say as well. One of the questions that I actually got before the show was, do we know whether using technology or, for example, the radio waves from a microwave oven and these frequency waves have an effect on causing diseases such as Parkinson's disease?
No,
Okay.
there is nothing mention of that.
Yeah.
So that there is no relationship to that. But as you said, the nutrition, as I said, the dairy products, consumption of more dairy products, as in our community, the people do a lot. So even in cancers, etc., I've seen the people cutting down on the dairy products, etc., and it's very good. Keep yourself active even somebody has a diagnosis. Keep on walking and gentle exercises. We don't want to run marathons. Gentle exercises. Keep yourself up to the community. Don't leave your social life. Once again, let's put it that way. Yes, if somebody got Parkinson's, big diagnosis, big to take. But having said that, once again, aging is also, don't you think that is progressive? This is my question. If you are getting old, would you stop living your normal life? My answer is no. So let's carry on with your normal day-to-day life. Seek help from the experts, from all the services around. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's not all about motor. The other things like psychological health is very important. Your sleep, your mood, everything is attached to this. So it comes with the package. So anything when you are going to your GP, don't be afraid of asking the questions. And if there is anything they can do, they usually help. If there is anything, we have another mechanism of advice and guidance, where I'm sure you are aware as well, if in complex cases, in certain decision makings, you take a little advice from all of us and we give you back the advice, answers, and that is also a beautiful way to communicate, and eventually the community gets benefited from that. So this is what I can say. Yeah,
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think also the fact that you speak about advice and guidance, and I'd just like to say to our listeners that GPs have the ability to ask advice and guidance from consultants. It's actually a very rapid way of gaining advice from consultants within the local hospital trust. If they are unsure about a treatment or a pathway or a patient's symptoms, and the turnaround time in getting a response from a specialist about a patient is very short, probably within 2-3 weeks at maximum.
Yeah. I'm not sure the 100% whatever, but definitely I don't think so if there are any delays.
Yeah.
So that is a very good way of communicating, like, secretaries, even from the GP surgeries can ring us. Patients sometimes ring directly as well. And while we are here for the community, and we would be serving our community. Peterborough is now our city, this Cambridgeshire area. Lots of consultants are working around, same field, more expertise. So we are all working towards the well-being and the good health of our community.
And it's wonderful that you do. And hats off to you. I'm so proud that we have clinicians like yourself contributing so much into our city. Really is. It's wonderful. We salute you, all of you. We have actually comments from Zobia Vakar. Very good. Thank you very much, Zobia, for joining us. And Simon Vines, who I know very well. Hello, Simon. Welcome on board. And he says very good advice. So we can just see that you're making airwaves, literally, by people taking an avid interest in this very important topic, Dr. Saqib. The other thing that I'd like to ask you is, apart from the preventative stuff, one thing that I've noticed is with this particular condition with patients is when they reach the end stage, I've often, and I don't know if this is particularly with Parkinson's disease, but a lot of the Parkinson's disease patients that I've seen who are now at home, limited in their movements, you ask them how they are, or you introduce yourself, they start crying. Is this disease particularly, does it affect an individual psychologically?
That's what I'm saying. It's not about motor. It's a non-motor symptoms as well. And one of the striking and very common features are your psychological health. There are different types of dementia. One is Parkinson's associated dementia. They come with aggression, with some psychotic features, depression. These are all those things. Physical disability bring that, all those mood swings. It is related to your Parkinson's as well. It could be a separate, but mostly it comes with the package, which is called non-motor. It's not about muscles, it's about other things as well. So yes, these are alarming signs. Once again, the management is symptomatic. You need to treat their symptoms. And if somebody is depressed, you know what to do. So I would say, yes, psychological health. And sometimes what happens that there is a certain type of Parkinson's called Lewy body dementia, which is Parkinson's plus syndrome, etc.
Oh, wow.
So
Yep.
I just want to touch base on this as well. The striking feature in this kind of condition is seeing the dead people alive, seeing the animals around, children playing around. So some hallucinations, short-term memory loss with hallucinations, and then some Parkinsonian features, which I have already told you. So once again, the clinician, physician can detect that. What are the striking features? What are the main features we are talking about? And on the basis of that, you give your clinical diagnosis. But if we suspect that there are psychiatric of old age in the community, they are also around. We ask them to come on board, and GPs ask them to come on board, and we work together. It's a multidisciplinary team. It's a multidisciplinary team to be involved in their care. It's all not only us physicians in the hospital, it's the carers in the community, GPs, their families, OTs, physios, speech and language therapists, because their swallow get compromised, dietitians. So it's a whole lot of people involved in their care. So it's not a one-man show.
Yeah.
So there is also the clinician's role is also to detect the progression and to see what is coming ahead, to keep patient and families on board, and to prepare for future that what could be the next step in the management, treatment, etc.
Yeah. Well, it's important that you've given that overview. It was very self-explanatory, and thank you for that. Some more comments. We have Dr. Azhar Chaudhry. Mashallah, great show. Very informative. Thanks, Dr. Saqib. Thank you very much, Dr. Azhar, for giving us the support to Salam Radio, as you always do. And I have a regular listener of mine called David. Now, David is very special because David will always write a comment that is a joke on my show. That's how he makes my show unique. And I'm going to read his joke out because it's important to feel happy as well, isn't it? Yeah. Costs nothing to make us happy. So David, thank you so much. So David writes, I accidentally ate a daffodil bulb thinking it was an onion. I got rushed to the hospital. The doctors told me I should be out for the spring. Well, you made us laugh. Thank you so much, David. And more power to you. And you, honestly, when I'm having a very stressful day, if I see your jokes, it really does cause a spring in my step. And that wasn't said with any pun. Let me tell you that now. So those were some of the comments that we've had, which is wonderful. Now, the psychological aspect was fabulous, actually. Where would you, now speaking about some of the psychotic symptoms, that's when you really do have an overlap between psychiatry for older age people and also then yourself as the Parkinson's specialist. Do you then refer the patient to an older age psychiatrist, or do you treat them with antipsychotic medication, for example?
If you are talking about my practice, sometimes, but most of the times I ask for the expert advice. There is no harm. We are all the colleagues. We are sitting there.
Of course.
And the individual is right in the middle of all this. So everyone want the best for them. So it's better to ask the expert for advice. And we are very good team, very good connection to each other. Usually, if there are memory issues, etc., the pathways via the GPs, as you are aware. and there are community psychiatrists in the community. They are very helpful, and the feedback is that the most of the surgeries around are very good in addressing these issues and acting upon them straight away.
Yeah, which is very important to have that
Yes.
partnership, I think. We have a comment from Dr. Azhar Chaudhry, who says that we are right, prevention is better than cure. We have organised an event on CVD risks management at Ghosia Mosque on the 9th of September. So listeners, if you are listening, these CVD risks, please do make an effort to attend these talks. We have so much that's going on within our mosques, and doctors take out their time and effort and put their expertise into these programs, and they will only carry on if you support. So please do make an effort to attend that talk, which is the CVD risks management at the Ghosia Mosque on the 9th of September 2023. Now, before we've got the last 6 minutes, Dr. Saqib, towards the end, obviously, people need to be prepared. I know that within our communities we have a good sort of wraparound care with support from families, etc. What about those people that live alone? Are they transferred to a hospice in the end stages, or is there a social care package that is involved? What usually happens to those patients?
Once again, if the people are community, they are definitely not left alone. As you know, that is a separate pathway. It's called the palliative care pathway.
Yeah.
So even if the patients are in the hospital, they have been fast-tracked. So they have enough support. Nobody's been left alone like that. It is a support around from the GPs, from the hospitals, all sorts. There are Macmillans, the palliative teams around. They are available as well. So there is a whole kind of support around which is available for these, and a hospice, etc. So in this case, the palliative team, they come into action and they take it from there. And if they need any advice or anything, as you are aware, they can contact you guys. They contact our services. For example, if somebody with a Parkinson's is not able to swallow the medications and not able to take the medication, that will make them more stiff and more unwell. So what are the ways to go forward? So we give them advices what to do.
Yeah.
And these kinds of things. So once again, it's a multidisciplinary, it's
approach.
a multiple teams are involved. It's not that somebody will be left alone in the community. I've never heard and never seen, and it will never happen, I hope.
Yes. We have a new comment from Councillor Amjad Iqbal, who happens to be your councillor, Dr. Saqib, who's saying, excellent show, keep up the good work. Thank you very much for that wonderful comment, Councillor Iqbal. And it's great to have such a variety of people. In fact, I've just had another question come through, and it is from somebody who's very special. Her name is Kiran Ayub. And do you know the special thing about Kiran is that she teaches British Sign Language.
Wow.
She, obviously, with her own personal circumstances, but she teaches British Sign Language. And she does so. She's got her own page on Facebook, and she's somebody who I greatly admire. And she has pointed out that I picked up that Dr. Saqib said that his own father suffers from Parkinson's disease or Parkinsonism. She says, I want to ask, how is he doing now? Bless you. Yeah. I hope he gets well soon, which is so sweet.
No, he doesn't suffer from Parkinson's disease. It was a benign essential tremor.
I see.
As I said, it's a different type of tremor which the people shakes when actions. So luckily he doesn't have the Parkinson. But once again, this tremor also has some hereditary touch. It runs in the family. So I look at my hands every morning, and I'm glad that I'm not a surgeon as well.
I know. I think we're thinking about somebody right now who's a surgeon.
Yeah. Is that going to affect me or not? Later on, next few years, it will tell. But yes, he suffers from a different type of tremor. And yes, there are certain medications, and the tremor is well controlled. And alhamdulillah, he's in a good health. And thank you so much for asking.
Oh, thank you so much, Kiran. You're a special superstar, so thank you very much. We also have a comment from Mr. Simon Vines, who says, I never knew this existed. My mum got ill and they all deserve medals. So that's just to show you that people appreciate so much.
We have been admired and been praised by the community overall from the city.
Last 2 minutes, so tell us what you want to.
People are wonderful, and once again, we are here to help. I'm here to help them. When I was in Surrey, there were coffee mornings. I was going to the different places like churches, etc., sitting down with them, having a cup of tea or coffee with them, listening to them, answering their questions, ask all sorts of questions, and I'm planning to do the same here. Yes, it needs a lot of time, lot of work for me, but I will do with the help of all these lovely, hardworking, dedicated people like Shabina and a few others in the community. Definitely, I'm planning to do that. Everybody welcome from any community. Ask me any questions, ask me for any help. And inshallah, we work together to help our community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saqib, for coming here with your wonderful son, Suleiman, who's been so well behaved. And in the meantime, I want you to continue to tune in, where we will be back next week with another show on the body, health and mind on your very own Salam Radio. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Craving authentic Desi flavors? Look no further than Desi